Alright, so we're about to sow some seeds in flats. Why do you think we're doing it?
I'm supposed to ask you. Why are we doing it, Dana? You're the one that knows these things.
Okay, well, we're going to sow some seeds in flats. Generally, this is a technique that you want to use for a number of reasons. One, it helps you it helps develop roots more efficiently depending on the type of crop that you're sowing, which is why some things are better to sow in flats and then transplant versus direct seed. Other things are the opposite.
Can you give us some examples of what is best to put in a flat? What are we going to put in these flats?
In these flats, we're going to be putting broccoli, Brussels sprouts, let's see, we might try some cabbage, those types of things. Usually, if you were preparing for warm season crops, you would do things like tomatoes, you would start in flats, different summer squashes, those types of things to extend your season, but since we have a 365-day growing season in here, that's not as big of a motivation.
And
so,
what type of crops would we direct sow, and why?
So direct sowing crops, there's a lot of different reasons. Certain crops just do a lot better if they're not transplanted because they undergo what's called transplant shock. So if you move them, they actually will just cease growing for a little while. They're not going to die, but they'll stop growing, and then...
Can you give me an example of a plant that would do that?
Oh, man. Cucumbers are a great example of something that doesn't transplant well.
I actually learned that well this summer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I transplanted mine and it didn't grow for about 4 weeks.
So that's what happens, is that cucumbers are really sensitive to being moved, and so... just like you experienced, if you had just planted cucumbers outside at the same time you had planted them inside, or even if you had planted cucumbers 4 weeks ahead inside, and then at the same time you transplanted them outside, also planted cucumbers, just direct seeded them, the ones that you direct seeded would actually probably grow at the same rate.
I would have gotten more than 3 cucumbers?
Yeah, they would grow at the same rate, if not faster, than the ones that you started inside. So that's why you have to pay attention to which things are good and not good to transplant versus direct seed. Root crops are also something you want to direct sow generally, things like carrots, radishes, beets, turnips, those types of things.
Thank God she's here.
Another great advantage to these is that if we're starting from scratch here, but if we were succession planting, like if we still were harvesting tomatoes here, we could also get things started in here and then have them ready to go and kind of caught up to speed when we were ready to then either plant them under the tomatoes or replace the tomatoes with them. So when we're going to sow, we're going to make sure that this soil is nice and moist. We're going to go ahead and follow the seeding recommendations here on the packets, depending on what it says for that particular variety and crop. And we want to make sure that the soil in here is pretty flat, so that way we're going to get better germination and we can more easily figure out how deep the seeds need to go. It'll also help with watering. When we're watering, it'll distribute the water more evenly. We're making sure to have a drainage tray under all of these so we're not sitting in a bunch of water, and we'll kind of go from there. So we're sowing this broccoli. We're going to try 2 different kinds, the Romanesco and the Diccioli, something I can't pronounce. And we actually just repurposed this milk jug and we're going to use it as our markers. So I'm writing on here the variety and what we're planting and the date so we know how long it takes to germinate and what we've got.